Did you know that 50% of women notice hair loss and thinning by age 50? If your hair is falling out for no reason and your fancy shampoos or strategic haircuts aren't helping, keep watching because in this video, I'm going to share a real-life case study that shows you how to use functional medicine to stop your hair loss and regrow beautiful, healthy hair. If you're checking out this video, you probably know how frustrating it is to be going about your business and suddenly realize that your hair is falling out for no obvious reason. In the decade plus that I've been a functional medicine doctor, I've learned that women who are experiencing hair loss aren't being given much support or guidance from their doctors. They're told, well, it could be this or it could be that, but we don't really know. And then they're dismissed. At most, they're given an expensive medication to try with no guarantees that it will fix their hair loss. This leaves women without options, alternatives, or a path to figuring out the root cause of their hair loss and thinning. But the truth is that you do have options. And once you determine why your hair loss and thinning is happening, you can come up with a plan to stop it and even regrow healthy, beautiful hair. In this video, I'm going to show you that it's possible. This real-life case study will help you see exactly how I evaluate some of the underlying issues that can lead to hair loss, which tests I run to rule in or rule out triggers, and the functional medicine strategies that my clients use to resolve those issues. This isn't theoretical. This is a real person with real symptoms, before and after test results, and the exact timeline that brought this client from significant unexplained hair thinning to new growth. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll happily share the exact testing and protocol she implemented so that you can use it too. More on that in a bit. But before we dive into the details, I want to make a quick note about the pros and cons of case studies. Looking at case studies can be useful for several reasons. They help suggest realistic timelines for improvement, guide us around potential pitfalls, and give us concrete confidence in a plan. Case studies take us from the theoretical to the practical and reassure us that healing is possible. But case studies have limitations too. We can't guarantee that one person's health journey will follow the same path as another. We're much too complex and unique for that. This client's experience and results can serve as a template for uncovering and addressing root causes of hair loss and thinning, but it is certainly not an exhaustive list of causes and treatments. And case studies should not replace clinical research, even though they are often the instigator for broader, larger studies. So, as we spend a few minutes together walking through this particular case, let's keep those points in mind. All right, let's start with some background and health history for our case subject, who we'll call Jane for the purposes of privacy. Jane, a female in her late 30s, has been noticing gradual hair loss and thinning, as well as changes to the texture and quality of her hair since the birth of her third child, about 5 years previous. She noted that her pregnancies involved a lot of morning sickness, but were otherwise healthy. She also had reported some striations or lines in her fingernails, as well as some more skin wrinkles in the past few years. Additionally, she said that her fingers and toes got cold easily. Jane was an active, energetic, happy, and overall healthy woman who wanted to figure out the underlying cause of her hair shedding and stop it. Let's pause for a moment and see if there are any clues in Jane's health history that could point us to the root cause of her hair loss. Since one of the top 3 causes of hair loss in women is micronutrient insufficiency, Jane's pregnancies and reported morning sickness may have been a possible trigger for depletion of key vitamins and minerals needed for healthy hair. The striations in her fingernails may have also been an indicator of suboptimal levels of micronutrients, zinc in particular. Her increased wrinkles may have been pointing to a lack of collagen, an important building block for soft tissue health and hair strength that also impacts the elasticity of the skin. Jane also reported that her fingers and toes got cold easily, which is a common sign of thyroid problems. Poor thyroid function is one of the top 3 causes of hair loss and thinning in women, and researchers estimate that up to 70% of people with thyroid dysfunction don't even know they have it. Our next step was to request some lab testing for Jane. My wish list for blood labs included key micronutrients like vitamin D, iron, ferritin, folate, B12, B6, red blood cell magnesium, and red blood cell zinc. I also wanted to see thyroid stimulating hormone and thyroid antibodies to see how likely it was that we needed to dig deeper into Jane's thyroid function. Here's what we got. Iron and ferritin were both suboptimal, which is a major root cause of hair loss in itself. Evidence suggests it's impossible to grow back healthy hair if your ferritin is lower than 50, and I like to see levels between 70 and 150 in my female clients. B12 and B6 were both suboptimal, and vitamin D was also low. But both TSH and TPO were well within optimal ranges, and given that Jane did not express fatigue, weight gain, dry skin, constipation, or other symptoms of low thyroid function, we did not seek further thyroid testing. Jane's doctor did not order RBC zinc or RBC magnesium, which is pretty common, but serum levels were within normal limits. Jane's labs did help confirm that her suboptimal micronutrient status, especially her low iron and ferritin, was at least one of the root causes of her hair loss and thinning. It also helped us rule out thyroid dysfunction as a major contributor. And because Jane was generally healthy and didn't have other major complaints, we decided to focus on aggressively replenishing these micronutrients and supplying her body with all the ingredients needed for her to maintain and grow healthy hair. As part of Jane's protocol, I suggested that she incorporate more mineral-dense foods into her diet, like leafy greens, beans, walnuts, chia seeds, quinoa, and colorful veggies. I also recommended adding high-quality bone broth to her food plan to increase collagen, which helps maintain elasticity of skin as well as hair growth. It may seem simple, but I also stressed that chewing her food really well and resisting the urge to rush while eating could really help encourage better digestion and absorption of vitamins and minerals, too. In addition to these food-based strategies, I suggested that Jane take some high-quality practitioner-grade supplements, including vitamin D, iron, B vitamins, collagen, and silica. You can find the exact products that Jane used in the free downloadable protocol. I put the link in the video description for you. After 3 months, I checked in with Jane to see how things were going. And here's what she said. Quote, "I think I'm on track. I definitely don't think things are getting worse, and my hair person confirmed things seem like they're getting better. I know it will be a longish process. My only question is if there is typically a time limit for taking these things before checking labs again. I'm feeling good with the plan right now, and I feel I should do another 3 months at least." Given that Jane was already noticing improvement and had an appointment scheduled for lab work with her primary care doctor in 6 months, we agreed to recheck her levels at that time. And this is what we found. Iron had improved significantly, but ferritin had not budged much. B12 had bumped up into the optimal range, and B6 had improved but was still suboptimal. Vitamin D had significantly improved as well. It was clear that we needed to do more to boost ferritin levels, so we employed some functional medicine strategies that help improve the absorption of iron. Consuming vitamin C with iron can improve its absorption, so Jane started taking a high-potency vitamin C supplement at the same time as her iron supplement. Another strategy that I find helpful for raising ferritin is to support specific strains of bacteria in the gut. I think of these friendly bugs like micronutrient doormen because they help ease iron's entry through the intestinal wall. One of the specific strains that has been found to boost ferritin is Lactobacillus plantarum. One study found that a probiotic containing this strain increased iron absorption by 50%. Jane added a probiotic containing high levels of this specific strain to her evening routine. Again, you can find the exact protocol Jane used at the link in the video description. Jane continued to notice slow improvement over the next 8 months. And when we met again to discuss her most recent lab results, she told me that the shedding had stopped and that her hairstylist could see a good amount of new growth filling in. While the thicker hair hadn't grown in completely yet to match the length of the rest of her hair, she was both optimistic and confident that progress would continue, and relieved that she had addressed the problem at the root cause. Looking at Jane's labs, it was clear that our ferritin boosting strategy had paid off, more than doubling her levels and putting her squarely in the optimal range for hair regrowth. Vitamin B12 improved even more, but vitamin B6 dropped back down, and vitamin D was slightly less, likely because we had decreased her dose after the progress we made in the first months. I should note that Jane lives in an area with very little sunlight for over half the year, so it makes sense that she would need extra vitamin D support. So what can you take away from Jane's experience? First, that hair regrowth takes time and consistency, as does replenishment of depleted micronutrients. Second, that sometimes you need to focus on absorption of these micronutrients, especially ferritin, in order to get levels into optimal ranges. Third, there may be underlying causes for hair loss that aren't obvious or may not show up on routine blood work, but it doesn't mean you can't get this data. And fourth, that it is possible to stop excess hair shedding, thinning, and loss using functional medicine strategies. If you find yourself feeling hopeless and unsure of your next steps, perhaps a micronutrient test and replenishment protocol is a good place to start. As promised, I put a link in the video description where you can access options for testing and the exact protocol I used with Jane via a free download, so be sure to check that out. One more quick note. If you're struggling with hair loss but your ferritin and other micronutrients are optimal, there are other root causes and functional solutions that can help. My hair loss deep dive tutorial walks you through assessments and strategies for thyroid-driven hair loss, autoimmune hair loss, and even androgenic alopecia. It's a really great info-packed resource if you need more options. I'll put a link to more information about this on-demand tutorial in the video description, or you can head over to my website for details. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this case study and the corresponding protocol helpful. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me continue to provide in-depth education and resources like this. And it also helps folks who need this information find it. Thanks again, and stay tuned for the next video coming right up.